People need to understand what ALJs, administrative law judges, and administrative law courts actually do in this system. If you want to talk about unconstitutionality, Article 3 establishes an independent judiciary to protect citizens from loss of life, liberty, and property without due process of law. Over the last 50 years or so, a variety of federal agencies have created their own court systems, led by administrative law judges. It would come as no surprise to no one that agencies enjoy outsized success in proceedings before these ALJs. After all, they're wearing the same jerseys. They're on the same team. In Article 3 courts, as provided by the Constitution, the SEC only wins about 58% of its cases. And between fiscal year 2011 and 2014, the SEC, however, won an average of 90% of its cases. And the SEC only wins about 58% of its cases. And between fiscal year 2011 and 2014, the SEC, however, won an average of 90% of its cases in front of ALJs. The FTC, who you went up against, wins not over 90% of its cases before its own ALJs. Yet Lena Khan, who was the head of the FTC under the last administration, lost almost every single case she ever brought before an Article 3 case, or an Article 3 court. When Axon was forced into the FTC Administrative Law Court, or ALC, proceedings, were you provided with the same protections and rights you would expect in an Article 3 court, such as due process, the right to a trial by jury, that sort of thing?
Absolutely not. No, it was a foregone conclusion. Frankly, it was described to me by my attorneys as hopeless. There was a 0% chance over the previous 20 years of getting a fair trial. And even once we came out, if it went to appeal, the appellate process would be only reviewing the FTC's version of events. They get to write the entire record, and you never get a day in court. Maybe you get an appellate review to see if they made an error in the law, but we would never have gotten a chance for an independent arbiter to hear our claims.
I would think that the people on the other side of Mr. Vladek would be concerned about the violation of constitutional rights that you just described, but apparently they're more concerned about protecting the unelected bureaucrats and their ability to send millions of dollars to things that we don't want to pay for, such as trans comic books for people in Peru. The FTC enjoys over 90% success rate in proceedings before the ALJs, as we just talked about. And what I understand is that you were forced to spend $20 million defending yourself in these FTC proceedings. Having been an administrative law attorney for many years, I describe this as the process is the punishment. Would you agree?
The process was a heck of a lot of punishment. However, it was nowhere near what was being threatened. I mean, for a $13 million acquisition, the government was basically looking to seize $1 billion worth of intellectual property, as well as half our customers, and an unlimited liability. So the process was terrible, but we had to go through it because the alternative was even worse.
As you likely know, in this Congress, I have introduced the Seventh Amendment Restoration Act, which provides Americans with the right to remove their cases before an ALJ to an Article 3 district court. Do you think that that is something that would have helped you in pushing back and fighting back against the FTC in these horrific proceedings?
I have to say that that proposal is beautiful in its simplicity, and I think it actually would fit what we've all talked about, the system of checks and balances functioning properly, that an American should be able to say, my goodness, if I have the government coming after me, may I please have an independent judge where I can plead my case and have a chance of prevailing.